All right, where are we going next?
Over here, Senator.
All right.
Hi, Senator Booker. My name is Rachel. I was born and raised on the Jersey Shore. I am a single mom, a small business owner, and a survivor of domestic violence. For the past month, I've been doing exactly what you said, which is standing up and using my own voice and getting involved and not just relying on politicians to do all the work for us. And so I've been following very closely everything that's going on with Medicaid. I stayed up with you last night until about 2:30 in the morning trying to watch Votorama. And so they passed in the Senate this budget resolution that will run through 2036 and threaten the health care of 72 million Americans. And so what we have left is the House of Representatives. We're doing everything we can here in New Jersey to pressure our 3 Republican members of Congress and get them to do the right thing. But we did see in the Senate last night that I believe it was Kentucky and Alaska, those 2 senators, even though they were Republican, actually voted with the Dems and the Independents. So one of my questions for you is are everyone who's a Dem and an Independent in the Congress working behind the scenes to also pressure the members of Congress from Alaska and Kentucky who can still vote no to get us where we need to be to stop these cuts? And then B, I also have been paying attention to the Reorganizing Government Act that's coming up. And I did my research, and it used to be that the Congress could do the legislative veto and shut it down if the president used it to do something really dangerous. Since that's not constitutional and hasn't happened since 1983, what are we doing to stop that bill or that act from going through? Because that act was amended so that Donald Trump would be able to not just reorganize and or create new agencies, which we know is not how he's going to use it, but to actually have the ability to fully go through with what he wanted to do, delete entire agencies with the help from the Republicans, because it wouldn't need the 60 votes, it would just need the minority, and would be able to get rid of programs that Congress has already passed into law, including Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. So why am I not hearing as much about the Reorganizing Government Act? And what can we do, because there's multiple affronts here that could lead to the destruction of Medicaid?
So real quick on both of those issues. The very first issue to me is really one of the most important questions we can ask. Because with the numbers of Democrats in the House and the Senate, we do not have the votes. We do not have the votes. It is going to take, like you saw, the first cracks. This Senate this week was really, to me, an exciting week. We saw the first cracks coming after the 25 hours on the floor. The first one was 4 Republicans broke with us to stand up and say, do not put tariffs on our northern neighbor. And I said it's dangerous to piss off a New Jerseyan. I didn't think it was possible to piss off Canadians, but Donald Trump pulled that off. But you saw that you saw 4 Republicans break with ranks and all the threats that are there. And they are facing threats. The fact that they have the richest man in the world threatening to drop $100 million in primaries against them, I'm not saying that's justifiable for their compliance, but just to understand that it's a lot for us to pull them over. And so that is the most important thing for all of us, is to open up, as John Lewis would tell me, a path for redemption for a Republican of good conscience that will switch their votes. That's how we save the Affordable Care Act. And it was, rarely do you see such high drama in the Senate, because we didn't know what John McCain was going to do. Murkowski and Collins came with us, and everybody was holding their breath as John McCain went there and voted down. Now, I would love to tell you that it was my persuasive conversations with John McCain, my eloquent speeches, by sitting out in front of his office demanding a few minutes, but not one Democratic senator convinced John McCain. You know who convinced John McCain? The people of the United States of America, and not being silent. So all of us should be thinking, it only takes a little bit more. What more can I be doing on my social media accounts to try to activate others? On my organizing amongst my friends? It only takes a little bit more. Can I afford one trip down to Washington, D.C. when they were doing a rally to save my health care? Can I do what these little lobbyists did? I would see these young kids in wheelchairs, disabled children, who would roll their wheelchair up to the United States senators, not with anger, not with hate, but with the appeal of their hearts. Please, sir, if you make that vote, I will lose my coverage. Find out what you can do. Do not let your inability to do everything to undermine your determination to do something in the cause of your country. The second point, real quick, I am going to hear it from Veronica in the car on the way home, but really quick. This is what Donald Trump is doing right now. We have a constitution with checks and balances. And whether it is attacking the third branch of government, the lawyers, you don't vote like I tell you to vote, I'm going to start threatening you and dragging you. And we know in New Jersey, violence against federal judges happen. As Esther Solis, one of our great federal judges, had somebody with hate and misogyny that went to her house to kill her and ended up killing her son and shooting her husband. But Donald Trump whips up that hate. And then we know what he's doing to the powers of our branch of government. He is doing everything he can to erode the checks and balances that the Constitution tells us to have. And so with that kind of authoritarianism instinct, the question that history is going to ask all of us is that when a president was trying to take on tactics that we're seeing, who literally says, when he's asked who does he admire, it's Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin. When that was going on, what did you do? What did you do? That's the question that I have to answer, and that I'm trying to rise higher to this moment of challenge, but I'm asking everybody here to answer that question, is when Donald Trump tried to tear down our democracy, I stood up.